This is your
episode 12. No, we episode 12 though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, this is the homage podcast. And basically, we created this while COVID was going on because it could have deaded most of our projects. Well, everything. It deaded everything. So we created this in a way to pay homage and, pay respect openly to basically people that we feel, that we wanted to highlight, that some people may or may not know, but that we feel, that deserve that look. You know what I'm saying? And you definitely fall in guidelines with that because, we definitely looked up to you for a long time, you know what I'm saying? And what you brought to the culture on all aspects, even though the word culture has taken on a new meaning. You know what I mean? But you cover all aspects of it, you know what I'm saying? And we just want to show you that love, big bro. That's all.
I appreciate that. And here's the thing though, like culture has taken on a meaning. For some people, it maybe never had a meaning for previously. But it still has the same meaning for us. It's still a value system. You know what I mean? It still informs us the way we wear our hats, the way we put our shoes on.
Fact. I mean, are you picking up my wife in the background?
No, we got Oh no, you good.
Okay, bam.
Oh, yeah, super clear, yeah.
Okay, bet.
Yeah, that was like, I'm piggyback on what Doe said. We just wanted to show you love, and we want all these other people that don't know your story to know your story and to understand how, like, everybody's contributions really do matter, and they really do resonate and connect with people all over the globe, man, all over this, this stratosphere. So we really fuck with you. So we wanted to have you on, brother.
Salute, gentlemen, salute. I appreciate that. Ghost, you sat with me for the town hall like a week ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went. You never sent me. I never got the email.
Oh, you didn't get the email? Fuck.
Yeah, I didn't get the email. I definitely signed up for that, but I didn't get the email. I hit you up, and that ain't go down.
I apologize. Yeah. Man. Listen, I juggled a whole bunch of folks, man, that day, man, which was something I had never done, like a big round table. Yeah,
it's so good because I figured that I figured that it was going down, that you had a lot going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I always support y'all, man. You know what I'm saying? I always support the crews, and like that's another, like we said, that's the main reason why we here, because like I told you, the whole crew from the Combat Jack show, from everything, like, so like, matter of fact, DP, for people that might not even know who you are, if they're under a rock or something, put them on and let them know who Dallas Penn is real quick.
Dallas Penn is an old wash dude. All right. Grew up in New York City. Born in Harlem, raised in Queens. Been living in Brooklyn for the last 15 years. And I just basically experiencing New York from 1970 to the present. I mean, I was born in 70. And I would say that I've experienced, even without my direct cognition, the 70s, because my parents had to go through it, and that's just the context to which they raised me. So this was a city that was like most major cities. The federal government had no more bread for the cities, so this was the time where people now had to like make do with whatever they had, with the best things that they had, and that just informs me throughout. So everything that New York has gone through from 1970 to the present, I have been in that, and I've watched it, and I've studied it. And I'm just happy at this point to see certain things repeat themselves, and to see different instances and be able to connect the dots for larger occurrences. So, I mean, I'm by trade a construction project manager. That's what I do during the day. But my real passion is I am a sociologist. And what I'm trying to figure out is what's the optimum social construction for all of us to get along, to share information, to share culture, to share wealth, that we can all, live good and keep it moving. And that's really just my aim. So I make a lot of criticisms, I make a lot of observations, but really my end goal is to try to help give the information for all of us to live better, for all of us to flourish.
That's awesome. Yeah, man. So, what do you remember from like the 70s? I know it was, you were young, but what stood out for you?
Sure. I mean, the thing that the 70s makes me think of is being out on the street, being out on the sidewalk, and whatever you had. I mean, this sounds corny now and crazy, but like whatever you had, that became a game. So like lightning struck a tree and knocked a tree down. Yo, we had a sidewalk treehouse that day. Across the street was a baseball field. So that Sunday, man, they had a big softball game, and there was a lot of beer bottles left. That Monday, we were busy breaking bottles. And one of the adults came and was like, "What the fuck are y'all doing?" And we was like, "Yo, we're breaking bottles." And they was like, "Nah, don't break bottles, because who's going to clean that up?" And I just remember someone yelling at, not someone, one of, not even one of our parents, just an adult. Just an adult be like, "Yo, what are y'all doing?" And we was just like, "Yo, we're breaking bottles. Like, we're having a ball." And they was like, "Nah, man, don't break bottles, because no one's gonna clean that shit up." And we was like, "Oh, word, okay, all right." So I feel like there was a communal sense, and of course, you have that blackout in '77.
Oh yeah.
I don't even remember the exact year, but you have a blackout, and my dad was just like, "Yo," making sure everybody was okay, because he traveled around the city as a salesman, and he was like, "Yo, these people are acting really ridiculous. So I just want to make sure that y'all okay, y'all are safe, and because I don't know he didn't know what was going to happen and how much further it was going to go." And his experience is interesting too, because before I was born, this gentleman is actually my stepdad, but he was a military man. He had been in Vietnam, and they had pulled him out of college to go to Vietnam. When he came back to the U.S., his tour was over. They had just killed the king, and the United States was on fire. And he was like, "Man, fuck that! I'm going back to Vietnam, where I'm safe."
He went back into the war zone.
He went back to Vietnam.
What's crazy? I think I've seen like a small community, like pictures of a small community like that some brothers had out there in like Vietnam. Like the soldiers had, like they were, out there where they would hang out and stuff at. Like they turned it out up there. You know what I mean? Like they had a little section where that was theirs. They would be kicking it, and it looked like like their little section was made just for the brothers over there. It was kind of wild.
That's just how on fire the states were, that you would say, "Man, listen, I'm going to go overseas where only a small group of people speak my language, and bullets are flying and whatnot, but I feel safer because I understand what's happening out there." And so that kind of informs. That's his background. That kind of informed him. So when we had the blackouts, he was just like, "Yo, listen, I got to stay around y'all and make sure that this shit don't get too crazy," because we didn't know, he didn't know how far people were going to take it.
Was that the summer of Sam? Is that Son of Sam summer?
I feel like Son of Sam was like 2 summers late. Son of Sam was 78 or 79. Gotcha. Son of Sam was another summer, but I didn't worry about Son of Sam too much, for whatever reason. And now that I look back, and Son of Sam I think was only targeting like white women or something like that.
Yeah, with
so the shit that had me bugging was the Atlanta child murders. Remember when they was kidnapping children in Atlanta.
Yeah, I've seen the documentaries on it. That was wild. It's crazy because Son of Sam lives up he lived up the hill from us. But we grew up out in Yonkers.
Yeah, the part where we from, he lived
Right.
like 2 blocks away. But obviously before we were, you know.
Was he in Yonkers or was he in Bronxville?
No, he was in Yonkers, bro. He was in Yonkers.
He was up the hill from the trap.
Yeah, they changed the name of they changed the number and of the building and the name of the street after that because I guess he was.
See, the thing was he never did any crime in Yonkers. He jumped on the train, went to the city. He would kill women, come back, and he said that the next door neighbor dog was telling him
like
doing
the dog was
shit like that.
He was a nut. He was a nut. But even you know, growing up in Yonkers, though, it was always haunted by that. You know, like that knowing that he lived in that building. That was some crazy ship.
I'm curious about the culture, like, and music, though. What were your early memories of like music? This is pre hip hop, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Pre hip hop is completely soul music. It's completely James Brown, Stevie Wonder. It's completely soul music on a Saturday, where the windows are open and everyone's in the house doing cleaning and just getting the house in order and stuff like that. And mom is cooking breakfast. All that thing, that stuff that we would say is cliche. It's in some soul food movie. It's cliche, but that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I mean, my folks had a record player and a gang of records, and you just put a Stevie Wonder record on, and you just let it play front to back. You know, you just let it play throughout. Mm-hmm. When hip hop started to bubble, my cousin that lived out in the East End of Queens, they had a little DJ set. They had a little like sound system. And I remember being at a block party on his block, and he was playing this intro, and it goes, "The sound you're about to hear will be devastating to your ear." Mm-hmm. And I was captivated by that. I was captivated by that intro, and I was just like, man, I got to thank you, man. I was just like, where you want me to put it? Thanks. I'll come get it. Sorry, y'all. That was my wife.
Nah, all good. All good.
and I'm captivated by this intro and the mix he's playing, and I just was like, I had to write down, and I'm 8 or 9 years old, but I have to write down like everything these dudes are saying. So we had dudes rapping. I mean, at block parties in the 70s, late 70s, hip hop is everywhere already. You know, when does Herc created on Sedgwick? Is that 75, 76 when he does his? So if that's going to be ground zero, and I'll accept that as ground zero, believe me, it takes nothing for it to spread citywide. It would have spread by the whole summer, and not just citywide, but everywhere. Yonkers, Long Island, anywhere someone had a couple of turntables and a big house speaker.
Yeah, fact.
So dudes are rapping, and my cousin is just basically spinning breaks, and I'm just trying to write down everything these dudes are saying because it's just like it's incredible to me. I already loved poetry, but this was poetry on steroids. Like this was poetry on this big beat, and the drum beat was just like reinforcing everything they were saying, and of course guys were saying magical stuff too, like how fantastic they are and how great they are. So it was for me like a comic book, kind of brought to life. Just those pronunciations and declarations that you read in like someone be declaring a comic, I'm about to kick ass or whatever. And I was just like, wow, this is some real like superhero shit going on. So I'm just trying to write down everything dudes are saying. I made my aunt give me a pad and a pen, and I'm writing down everything. I'm just trying to hear what they're saying and write it down, and then say it again. So I'm totally hyped and intrigued. And I think I never became an MC, but what hip hop gave me, and comic books, and I guess just is a love for words. Words are so powerful. Words are everything.
I share that. I think I share that with you, man. You're a cunning linguist. You know, a cunning linguist. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Don't love that term, boy.
Right.
You find different ways to get your point across. You know, different verbiage. You know.
I love words. I love words. I love words, and I love giving a word to somebody that they may not have fucked with before. You know, because that's the turn on that I would get.
Yo, I was dying to get Gumshoe off on your post. Like,
I loved it. I loved it.
I never like let a chance fly not to say Gumshoe. You know what I'm saying? I think I experienced that word reading like children's books when I was like 6 and 7, and I was like, yo, Gumshoe is a private investigator.
Yep,
I'm never gonna be able to say that shit in the hood. It's like I do have to jump.
I gotta find out what that Gumshoe connects to, because I thought it was because they were on the ground so much that they would step in gum. Yeah,
I think because they were on the case. You know what I'm saying? Gumshoe, like you on that case.
Check this out though. I'm gonna look it up. But gum sole shoes were probably the most comfortable shoes to wear, as opposed to hard bottoms. If you're gonna be pounding the pavement, if you're gonna be, putting in miles, just walking around and on the beat. So we're gonna find out what
we gotta do the math on the gum.
We're gonna do the math. We're gonna find the etymology of gumshoe. Yep.
We got a gumshoe.
Oh, for real.
So I mean, these all these things are filling my head up, and we come into the 80s, and I mean, there's still other music. Like hip hop isn't dominating. I love it, but I got all kinds of other influences too, man. I mean, I loved British New Wave, man. I loved pop. I loved pop music. Like I was a big Hall & Oates fan, a big Police. The only Police I fuck with is Sting and the Police.
There you go.
That's it.
So hip hop wasn't the dominant musical genre for my time, and it was something that you plugged in. When you were with your friends, or it was something that you plugged in and played with. All right, it didn't dominate pop culture either, of course, at the time. So you had all these other things that were influential. Michael Jackson, of course, is tremendous then. But it's interesting how it evolves and it kind of overtakes these other musical subgenres, and it overtakes art. It overtakes popular art, and it overtakes fashion. It really just it's such a wave of electricity, of energy, that it overtakes and informs everything else that gets touched by it. So once something gets kind of touched and affected by hip hop is like cultural COVID. It comes in and it absorbs that thing.
I love it.
What I mean? And it realigns it, and it makes you like, oh, no, I've been doing this thing all wrong. I got to do this the hip hop way.
Yeah, because there's a lot of hip hop do's and don'ts that like are just valid. Like, hey, like that if you're part of the culture, you're just not fucking with it. He's like, oh yeah, you don't know any better. You know what I mean? Like certain Tims, I know you don't rock. I know you don't fuck with Tims, anymore. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're still a boo god. You're still a boo god.
But there's still Tims that's not valid.
Yeah. Right. And you know which ones, and you will know which ones are not valid based on what community you're in. Like, you know what I mean? So if you're rocking the One Soul Tim, it's kind of quiet out here for you.
Right. Well, if you're rocking the One Soul Tims, it's like, yeah, I feel bad for you, son. But
if it's a chucker, you can do a chucker, the OG chucker.
You can do the OG chucker with the bubble collar, or even the the super OG Chuckner. Super OG Chucker didn't have no bubble collar. Right. It just had a naked collar.
Yeah.
Super OG Chucker I got out of Models. That was like my first Timberland. You know, like my first pony or whatever. But I got this black Chucker out of Models. It doesn't have a bubble collar. It's just a naked collar, 3 eyelets, but it was a Timberland though, and it was important that it had to be a Timberland.
Had to be.
Because cats in my school, in my high school, if you had some other shit, they was running. Fam, you didn't want to go back to school. They got you so hard. They said you had on Wonderlands. They said you had on Lumberlands. You got killed. So you had to have the right Tim. Just like with New Balance, you got to have the right New Balance. You know what I mean? Numbers got to be right. The numbers got to be 990 and better.
Right.
You know, don't be trying to stunt out here with little 574. I understand 574 is the gateway New Balance. That's like
It's dirt. It's like rags. You know what I mean? You're gonna come outside smoking. It's like your rags.
Don't try to act crazy when you're smoking rags, right?
Yeah. Don't try to be.
You're not doing that.
Try to be all talkative about a situation with rag in your hand.
Right. Don't be like, we got the loud. Nah, man, it's not loud, bro.
It's very quiet. It's interesting how things spin around though, right? Because I'm assuming 80s was Adidas and Puma, right?
Early 80s,
early 80s, right? And now to see it back on the playing field, if you say, back in the mix of everybody, it's kind of interesting, especially Adidas, because they're such a big force again.
What's interesting about Adidas and even Puma is that they've finally been able to take some of their new silhouettes and introduce them to the young sneaker consuming crowd. Because for a while, Adidas and Puma were stuck in that retro space. Like Puma was stuck. They only had the Clyde or the California.
Yeah.
Puma did have that little moment where they had those driving shoes, those Formula One driving shoes.
Those soccer looking joints.
Right.
A tight leather jacket on your suit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get those out of it.
Like a Euro jacket.
That was
just had padding. Them shits had all.
That was the whole Euro. That was the Euro wave right there. You could have totally sprocketed Euroed out if you had on the ill tight leather jacket, some Moto jeans, and them Pumas.
Nasty.
Yeah. Somebody be like, the fan just come from Brussels with that fit. But so Adidas and Puma was stuck in that retro space. And finally now people with Adidas, they got the Boost, and Puma's got a bunch of new silhouettes that they've introduced that people are finally accepting. But nobody was fucking with nothing, and poor Reebok. Look at Reebok, man. Reebok is just like
they got left in the wind. And I'm to be honest with you, I don't know why, because I liked Reeboks, and I think with there has to be some correlation between the Bigfoot dad shoe whole resurrection and those OG classics coming back hard, because the Stan Smith was always around, the Converse was always around.
Yep.
But now all these other silhouettes are taking off that I like them. Like Adidas had a whole line that I liked. I think they were called the shit, man. I forgot the name new, but they went on sale for $54.11.
What was the platform? The Boost?
Victory. They were called the Victory, and it was
Victory.
It was just it was like some tennis shoes, some old school joints.
Okay.
And a lot of those are coming back around. You know what I mean? Like those old Reebok. I think that's Reebok's space more so than technology. You know what I'm saying?
I tell you, to my knowledge, Reebok really was in the forefront of the cross training wave.
Right.
So they had this shoe called the Exo Fit, which is the ladies version. We called it the 5411, but it was that like aerobic type shoe.
Right.
And
That was 2 straps, right? And 2 straps.
That was it. The 2 straps at the ankle, and I'm trying to think what was the name of the man. The man shoe was the ExoFit. I can't remember what the man shoe was, but it was a cross trainer, and this was like the space in between a tennis shoe and a workout shoe. And I come from a time when the illest shoe you had, the illest shoe you could own was a tennis shoe. And when you talk about the 70s and the 80s, all the R&D really went into tennis shoes. That was a major professional sport. For you to play it, even for you to play it as a pedestrian, you had to have lessons, you had to have a racket, you had to have all this specialty equipment, and shit, you had to have time to get on a court somewhere. So tennis was seen as like if you played tennis, you were seen as someone who had money. You were seen as someone who had wealth. And I never forget my man Jamal was like the first kid on the block to have leather tennis shoes. When he got the shoes for the summer, we all had to run out and see his shoes and touch his shoes because he had leather shoes.
And what were they? Some stands?
To my mind now, I can't remember if they were probably some Adidas. They probably were some type of Adidas. They probably were stands or something else, maybe a Grand, something Adidas, we'll say.
Yeah.
Or the funny thing is maybe I'm giving them more credit than I should. Maybe they was sus. I don't know what they were. They were leather though. They were leather.
It didn't matter. They were leather.
It
didn't matter what they were. They were leather.
We wore canvas pro kids, bro. We wore canvas shoes. So for him to have a leather shoe, we was like, yo, you killing it right now. You doing it. And that's my background for sneakers. So for me, the flyest sneaker I can own is not a Jordan. It's a professional tennis shoe. It's a quality made tennis shoe. Is it made by Bally? Is it made by Gucci? And it has to be like a professional tennis shoe. So you gotta have the reinforced toe for when you dragging your toe on the hard court. You gotta have a good arch support in there. I mean, I'm talking about a professional
handmade
tennis
joint.
shoe. That's right. That's right.
Those are for every occasion right there.
That's the top. That's the top. Yeah. Cats don't know. Cats think of Jay, a Jordan or whatever, or Kobe. Nah, bum buddy. Jordan came into that space and established themselves with the Dope Boys on their second shoe. The Jordan 2 is the shoe that established Jordan in the street. Jordan is playing like it was a sleek design, and it was the fact that this shoe was supposed to be Italian leather.
Yeah.
No logos on it, no identification, no swoosh on it, but it was supposed to be Italian leather, and it had like a python overlay and some real soft leather, and it was good leather. I mean, whether it was Italian or not, but it was a good leather shoe. So that was like the shoe that you really started seeing like Dope Boys and like real street dudes messing with it, and wearing a Jordan 2 with like a Fila suit. Wearing a Jordan 2 with like just some like a fly, Dapper Dan, Fendi or Gucci suit. Then you was like, oh, okay, that guy's doing it. That guy's getting it right there, big.
Where it's kind of wild that to me, like the Jordan 2 is so underrated, but yet so highly rated amongst people that know. So it's always good to hear that, because a lot of people don't really give it to that respect.
Well, that's because I think also the narrative for sneakers is in other people's hands. They've pulled it away from. I would say that the reason why they've pulled it away from the real origin is because you have to understand how much of everything we do comes out of Black culture. And what I mean by Black culture is I mean just the way Black people just live their life. And the way they present themselves, and the way they go about, if you didn't fuck with Black people so much, you would really get to see some incredible shit, because just this wellspring of creativity that we have for everything we do, for just everything we do, just for the simple way we walk. I mean,
for real, like your doorman or somebody at that works in the craziest place can have the illest style and delivery. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you definitely on point with that. Like, it could be the bus driver, the person that's selling you, ice cream, man.
Everybody
like, got it.
If we didn't have racism, this shit could be Wakanda, because you would see every possible style, every permutation of style of swag, because that's just who we are. You know what I mean? And when you're not fucking with us, that allows us to be us. And when you see somebody's style, you be like, oh, I like his style. I want to do that, but I'm going to do it my way. I like this person's style. I want to do it, but I want to do it my way. What I find right now with our youth is because they've been so westernized that everybody wants to do the same exact thing everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
So you don't have the individuality any longer in the sneaker game. You go to a sneaker convention now, and people are only trying to buy 2 shoes. Whatever the hype is Jordan is, and whatever the hype is Yeezy is.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's crazy.
It's crazy because
I want to go back real quick. No, I just want to go back and talk about the Jordan too. I personally feel like it wasn't a hype shoe, and it still doesn't have this specific grasp on the sneaker culture, because didn't he get hurt that year? Like, there's no moment he had with that shoe on. Like, the 3 came out, he jumped from the free throw line, everything changed. You know what I mean? Like, he was on display.
See, I would argue with you though that part of the mystique for Jordans isn't simply Jordan's play, okay? But for me, it's the people I saw in my everyday life that wore them.
True.
Yeah, that's a fact. Because the Bordeaux 7, when when I see my uncle bring those home, those are probably
I'm not arguing whether or not it's a good shoe or not. Right.
Yeah.
My point of view was just that if Nike was preparing to push, and
got you.
You know what I'm saying? And things went.
They don't have marketable moments for
exactly.
him. And that you're right. You're absolutely right about that. You're 1,000%.
So like when they
did that with Melo. Remember they pushed that shoe with Carmelo Anthony, and it was dope because they did it in all solid colors too. Like when they did that, they had a meaning.
And Melo had one of his best years wearing that shoe. They went to the Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean? Like, he had that big dunk.
That sky blue and yellow too is fire.
The nugget color.
Make no mistake about it. The nugget color.
Do you think that athletes' performances help generate shoe sales?
Definitely not.
Okay.
Now or then?
Anytime.
Definitely. At any time.
T-Mac, listen, Tracy McGrady's shoes never went anywhere. And he was dumb nice. Dumb nice. He was one of the best every year.
I think Jordan is an outlier. I think he's a different scenario in that space. AI, it helped him too, because we would have never wore that shoe if you just didn't like Allen Iverson. You know what I mean? And the way he did it.
Hold on, I can't agree, bro. The Allen Iverson, was it the question? Is that the DMX technology?
Yeah, the question. Yep.
That's one of the most comfortable basketball sneakers I ever played in at the time when I got them. I used to catch them on sale. I used to catch them everywhere. The OG color, the gold, black and gold.
I'm going to tell you what, Iverson, I would agree that Iverson's play helped sell that shoe, because that wasn't a dope boy shoe.
No,
definitely not.
That was a performance shoe.
Listen, in Iverson rookie year, he's wearing his kicks. He crosses up Mike. You've seen it a billion times. You know what I mean? So I don't think it works for everybody. I think they try to chase that for Jordan, right? They try to chase those moments for MJ, because Nike's market with Michael Jordan was his game. He's not LeBron, right? Like, he don't have this other personality where you know him, right? We only heard about him later. So they marketed it from, like, look how he did on the court. Like, his game was, that's how they sold the shoe. When I look at
explain me having a pair of Sam Cassell's then.
But you didn't think of Sam.
I had maroon Reebok Sam Cassell.
Nah, see, that was a colorway thing. That's a colorway thing. See, the reason why I mentioned the only person I could put in that space, and now Kobe could be in that space, right? But for the most part, is really MJ and Iverson, because they changed the way we looked at something. You know what I mean?
Barkley had a solid shoe. Bo Jackson had a crazy.
They got tremendous shoes. They had personalities, but they had personalities. You know what I mean? You like Chuck, even if you don't really not a Philly fan or a Phoenix fan. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bo Jackson snapping, bats over his knee. You can get with that. He running people over, even if you don't root for that team. So there's like things you can like. All right, this is dope. You know what I mean? And then the shoe look cool.
There was actions that you could associate with those athletes. I mean, it's definitely.
I don't know. I had them.
I'm not hating. I like Central South. Just sound like.
And I used to
Sam I am.
With what's his name from UMass? I used to wear the UMass jersey. Nah, this was back in the days, mid '90s. Like it was like Lou Rowe or some shit like that.
Yes. Who was my other man? Light skin cat, smooth shooter.
My wallet wasn't his name Lou Rowe? He was like number 15 or some shit. But yo, I can't
remember his name.
Nasty, elder nasty shit. But yo,
I'm really thinking about your point, D. So you looked at the hustler, right? You looked at the smooth guy, whoever was getting it and whoever had that glow. You look at them like, all right, that's what I'm looking at. But the reason I felt like they were able to look at MJ and say, yo, because he got that on the court. He got that same aura when the other players are looking at him. You know what I mean? Like he brought something different here. We're at the next wave of that generation from you. So yeah, we still looked at whoever was the smoothest person. And
there was also the price point on the shoe too.
That too, exactly.
And once you got the two, you got the shoe priced at $100 and over $100.
Exactly.
And that was
a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of bread back then. That was like, what? $100? Your father ain't got $100 shoes. When you have to hear that, like,
yeah, wow.
I gotta go out and get these myself. I see.
Now, speaking of going out and getting them yourself, right? To be on the 70s, 80s. So like, there's a time like before crack and a time after, and I'm pretty sure like you saw the complete difference in that. How can I say that? Community love. That
transition, yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally. I mean, it was subtle, but now that I look back at it, it was stark because, again, it was the same people and the same people I had grown up with, but they were becoming transformed. Right. So, knowing these folks and knowing them beforehand, you kind of always see people, in your first iteration of them most times. And it takes a minute for you to see someone be transformed character-wise or someone to be transformed status and personality-wise. Because you always be like, yo, that's my man here. Or that's my... I'll never forget, man, I had a coach in Little League. And I loved the dude because he just was so encouraging to me. You know what I mean? And he really kind of helped me, kind of figure myself out and just feel empowered. And I remember seeing him go to buy crack. And I looked at him and I was just like, yo, like you sucker. And I mean, I'm sure he saw my eyes and he felt that look too, like, oh man, like dude thinks I'm a herb now. I'm washed up. Or I'm a loser now. And that was what was going through my mind. But people that you grew up around, got hooked and got into it, and yeah, and you literally watched them decline. And it was just like, oh, and then you say, oh, fuck that. But now that I'm an adult, I'm a lot more empathetic. I'm a lot more compassionate. But I was like, wow, this is, this literally just, it happened right in front of you. And as a teenager, too, as a teenager too, I don't think you have enough mental space for empathy at the time. I mean, you don't. You're a wild pile of hormones raging anyway. So
you
see
like,
people,
get that nasty shit out of here.
Right. And you don't look at people as people. I mean, because you're kind
you
of
look down on things. Yeah.
You're in an animal state yourself. You know what I mean? You're in a kind of a jungle mentality yourself anyhow. You know what I mean? So you're kind of looking at people, what opportunity do I have here? You know, can I take advantage of this person or exploit this person right here? So it's I look back now and I say to myself, man, listen, I wish I had been older so I could have tried to help some of these folks that I loved, neighbors and stuff like that, people that, you grew up around. You would love to see them to this day. I love to see old people now from where I grew up. Feels good, man. It feels like I can get to be that too.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing in these crazy times, man.
Right. When you were 16 and you see somebody 30 years old, you be like, this motherfucker washed. He done. Now I see somebody like 30 years old. I'm like, yo, this guy's so young. He just gets started.
For real, right?
Yo, I see somebody 70. I'm like, yo, that's what I got to try to do. That's what I got to try to be. It's funny though. Life is dope like that. Life is fly like that.
That longevity, man. We seek it. We all seek it.
Ooh, I got the dry skin. I got let me see if I get. There we go. Man.
We ain't all up in the grill. Don't worry about it, man.
We good money.
Yeah. So now you're in the 80s, man. So that's teenage DP right there in the 80s.
That's prime teenage years. I go to Brooklyn Tech High School.
In Brooklyn Tech.
I went to Brooklyn Tech High School. Now my dad, who was he had come up to Virginia from Brooklyn. We lived in Queens.
Why didn't you go to Bronx Science? Now, why didn't you go to Bronx? If you go to Brooklyn Tech, that means you could have went to Bronx Science. And
I could have gone to Stuyvesant, Bronx Science, and Tech. And my father said, "You don't. You haven't really been around black people. You need to be around black people."
Yeah.
He didn't realize how much I was going to get turned on by being around black people. He put me through private school and stuff, and he had me in these insulated. I basically was a little insulated kid. All right, until I got to high school. I got out a little bit. They let me travel through the city. I could go down to the city to go to comic book stores. I could travel, and that was cool. But I wasn't immersed with black folks to the point where I didn't realize how diverse we were as people. I didn't realize the nuances between, even within my borough, even within Queens, cats that are from Laurelton and Rosedale and Rochdale Village move a little different than the cats that are from Corona or Woodside or Elmhurst. Right. And those cats move different from slightly different from the cats that are in Astoria or or Ridgewood or what have you. So to finally get up with people in from different parts of the city, different neighborhoods, different enclaves, and just see how crazy diverse they were, that shit blew my mind. Now, that would have probably happened to me in Stuyvesant and Bronx Science too. But I think he just felt like, those places were all on par with each other. So this was going to be the best experience for me. He rused the day that he put me there. He was like, I should just let your ass go to Stuyvesant and be a fucking nerd. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, let's right there in high school. Is that when you started getting put onto? How can I say? Brand. Like, were you already looking at you had your own personal style? Were you wearing certain brands? What was your aesthetic at those times in high school?
I had a little cornball style coming from my little insulated background where I was actually starting to get into clothing right before I got to high school. I had a huge comic book collection, and I remember selling some books in order to buy a pair of suede Pumas and a Puma a windbreaker suit. It's like one of those nylon suits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was great for breakdancing because on the cardboard, that nylon shit just fucking
Spin.
no friction. You just spin for hours. So I had my little pop and lock breakdance suit, and but I used to what they call marathon that shit. I used to run that shit.
You a b-boy? You considered yourself a b-boy at that time?
I tried to be. Listen. I tried to dance. I wasn't that good at it. I wrote on walls.
Honorable. That's honorable.
I wasn't that good at it. I wasn't good at emceeing. You know, I wasn't really good at anything, but I enjoyed them.
Yeah.
So at least, you know, I had a nice look. I had that one look actually. I had one look. And that was that Puma suit with the Pumas. That was my one look. But I tried all of those things because I was just like, yo, I was so turned on at this point. You know what I mean? Early 80s, man. It's again, like I said, I was turned on in the 70s when I was trying to write down people's lyrics. And as things just grow and get bigger and you get into the world a little bit and you just start seeing how much opportunity there is to be a part of a culture. Like you can get in like, oh, if you could MC, boom, you could do that. Or if you could DJ, you could do that. Or if you could dance, you could do that. Or if you could create art, you could do that. So it was just like, wow, there's so many intersections here. There's so many places for me to get in. Let me just try to figure something out and get inside here and contribute and get my creativity that way.
Sure.
So, but I had one look. I get to high school, man, and in my homeroom, this girl Cecilia, who actually lived out in my neighborhood in Queens, very pretty girl, and she was like, "Yo, you'd be really attractive if you dress better." And I remember that because that shit ended my life right there. That shit, and to have one of the prettiest girls in the school tell you like, "Yo, you could be somebody." I was just like, "Yo, I gotta get my whole look together.
Get my shit together now."
I was like, "Yo, I gotta get my shit together, yo." So from that point on, that was it. My life was over after that. You know,
so mid-80s. Who you listening? Who y'all listening to? Who's killing it? The radio right there at that point.
Oh, who's killing the radio? Wow, that's good. That's a great question. I feel like cats from Harlem would have cassette tapes, and they would have like park jams or like just like live performances. Whatever was on the radio then. I mean, rap was kind of relegated to just Friday and Saturday night, like Mr. Magic. And I'm trying to think, was even Red Alert on right then? Because I'll be honest with you, the best rap I listened to, that shit that really got me fucking with rap was from my crib in Queens. We could get this college radio station, Hofstra. I could get Hofstra. And Hofstra, the folks at Hofstra will be playing Public Enemy. They'll be playing KRS-One. They will be playing MC Shan. And that was like, so we're talking about 84, 85. That's when I really, like, that's when rap took over. I mean,
who was the DJ over there playing that? Do you remember? Like, who they end up being? Somebody?
I slightly remember. It was a white dude named Chris. I would have to, if I could ever get in touch with Chuck D, I would ask Chuck D what was his name, because this white dude was on to PE early, and Chuck would come up there and he'd sit and talk with him and play new music with him, and the white dude's voice is even used on like the second album. It's even used on Public Enemy's second album, but I feel like his name was Chris Cohen or Chris something like that. But college radio was playing the fire stuff. College radio was playing the stuff that I heard in park jams, that I heard in basement parties and stuff like that.
And that's when hip hop was like super underground back then. Like even the mainstream stuff.
Well, you had Run DMC, you had Run DMC, you had Fat Boys. So it was kind of, hip hop was still gimmicky. Or I should say rap.
Yeah,
rap was gimmicky. Mainstream rap was pretty gimmicky then. Run DMC was kind of hard. Run DMC was hard. You couldn't front on that. But when you looked at Fat Boys and you look at some of the
other
LL
out yet?
LL was out too. LL was out. Yep. LL was out by the time I get into high school. I feel like LL hit 84, 85 around this time. Was
it only regional that was getting played? Like, what did you hear? Like,
oh no. There was nothing. There was nothing else coming into my ears at the time. In the early mid '80s, it was hyper regional. It was literally just New York City stuff. It was just New York City stuff. So it wasn't nothing from Miami or the South or Chicago was coming over here, and nothing from LA. I didn't get on to LA until the late '80s, and I'll tell you, my first LA rap experience, or hearing LA rap, was at Virginia Beach at a Greek Fest.
Oh yeah,
1989, Riot on the beach. The soundtrack was NWA, Straight Outta Compton, and Public Enemy, Nation of Millions. That was the soundtrack, and we rioted. And the National Guard got called in.
Wow, word.
Yep, Greek Fest, 1989.
Was there a trigger for the riot, or just too many
just unrest, over policing, just people feeling like they were being disrespected and treated like second class citizens, paying good money for hotels, and just feeling like they were getting over policed and stuff like that. So it just that, and just too many people. It was just too live. It was man. Listen, it was live.
Mm-hmm.
It was live.
Your era had Greek Fest, Freaknik, all that crazy.
We had Freaknik, which carried on into the '90s. But in the '80s, we had Philadelphia Fairmount Park was the Greek picnic. Jones Beach had the Greek Fest, and it would spill out from Jones Beach to the strip in Roosevelt called Nassau Road, called Nasty Road. But basically, that would be the strip. That would be the strip for the night. So whatever day
pre-social media, everybody linking up. You ain't have to do none of that extra shit. No flyers.
All them things that happen when we get together during the summer. You know what I mean? Little groups of girls walking, getting their elbows grabbed and stuff like that. Respectful stuff, though. I feel like I never saw until in the '90s we really toppled into Western culture, because like nobody was ever being disrespectful, rude, or violent towards women until like this happened at this Puerto Rican Day Parade. I gotta check and see what year that was.
That was the big one. I remember that. That was nasty.
The one that was on the newspaper and all that.
Yes. I gotta check and see what year that was. 94. Was it that late?
It was more recent. I think it was after the new millennium, but not like. I think it was between 2000 and 2005 or 4.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like something early in there. But that was definitely the end of the PR Day Parade, like the old, way, the old New York,
the old way of us doing it. The old way of us doing it. Yeah. I mean, and for many years, man, you went there. You went there with your crew. You met up with a crew of shorties. Y'all kicked it. I mean, these were the time-honored mating rituals for city kids. All right, PR Puerto Rican Parade was in June. Matter of fact, it probably would have been next weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Festival on 110th.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Festival on Saturday.
Yeah.
Parade on Sunday, man. Listen.
Yeah. These are signs. These are clear signs that summer's here when you growing up in New York City.
Listen. I'll give you the schedule. Memorial Day weekend.
That's when you know. That's when it all starts.
Dance Africa at Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Mm.
That 3-day weekend. People with vendors, tables, selling all kind of oils, house music, shea butter, all of that. So the official summer kickoff is Memorial Day. Now, once you get into college, you actually start even before you start with spring break. Mm-hmm. So you accelerated on college because Freaknik actually happened. Freaknik would happen in the early part of May.
Yeah.
So if you was really playing the circuit hard body, you was hitting Freaknik. Then you come back home, Dance Africa. Then you got Puerto Rican Day Parade. Then you got July 4th coming up, which you probably go to Virginia Beach. You might go to Virginia Beach. You got the Jones Beach Greek Fest, which hit late in June. You got Labor Day, Eastern Parkway. You got all of these things, man. That would just great.
In between all of that, right? Harlem Week used to be that thing.
Harlem Week. August. Harlem Week.
You can't forget Harlem Week. I saw Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick perform live on 135th. That was they shut it down.
Did y'all ever get to go to Grant's Tomb?
No, man, I'm just missed that. That was that.
We were like just slightly too young. Like we could have went, right? We could have went like 14, 15. We would have been out of our league though. Yeah. Cass was pulling up heavy.
I was out of my league. I was the first time I ever heard Chickenhead. A girl called me Chickenhead there. The first time I ever heard before it even hit popular culture.
And what day was that on? I felt like that was on a funny day. It wasn't like on no.
It was on a weekday. It was on a weekday. It was on a Wednesday or Thursday. It was on a Wednesday. Or Thursday. It was probably Wednesday night. It was probably Wednesday night because it was smack in the middle of the week. You know what I mean? But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It was actually called Jazzmobile because it was some Parks Department little thing where they had a little trailer and they had like live jazz. But after the jazz would end, people would just be milling about. Again, the tables is out, vendors selling shea butter, whatever. But people just milling about and just, just being black,
the central stage.
Yeah. But I was definitely like, homegirl was like, yo, you're a chickenhead. And I was like, she called me a chicken. I laughed about it. Then I was like, damn, I'm a chickenhead. And then it came into popular culture. I was like, damn, homegirl kind of killed me.
She was early. She was
early to the game with that.
Yeah. She smelled the scrub, so she was like, yeah. She was like,
now we used to get the word back like, oh, Grant's Tomb is lit, but they'd be like, oh, dudes was pulling up in this Benz and this Beamer and BBS, and we were like, we
barely coming out the house.
Facts,
yeah, exactly.
Facts,
we little kids.
Getting out the house.
Facts. Now,
if I had some new sneakers. Yeah, if I had some new sneakers and a little chain, like that was a good thing. But we ain't. What we gonna do? Take the train down there? Like,
yeah, people was pulling up. That lets you know the kind of scrub I am. Yeah, I was taking the train.
Now, during that time, this was a low era. Were you heavy into the low?
I'm still low, but I'm actually maturing a little bit because I actually looked at a picture I had from a night at Grand Soup. And I had on like a low sweater vest, and I'm maturing from like real big bright color block stuff to more like adult stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean, like suave, suave post Cosby kind of like trying to be semi-grown type, grown right before grown and sexy, like not fully silk shirted out.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like, I know exactly what you mean. Grown man shit.
Right. So hold on, right. I'm curious, right? Because, we know that me and Doe we 37, about to be 38, right? So we know when Polo hit for us, right? Because we saw older heads rocking them. But, like, when you were in high school, was it a thing yet?
Oh, yeah. Okay. The first thing that hit for me, my eyes was Benetton. Benetton, the Benetton rugby was just a fire. Like it just the shape of it, like
the one with the logo across and the stripes or plain.
The one with Benetton across and that funny logo, and it's either in all based white with a green stripe or based white with a blue stripe.
Yeah, I like the royal blue. I know what you're talking about. That royal blue is fire.
Yeah. Yep. So Polo was hitting, and then Polo had a crest. They had their crest logo that was heavy. They had their Polo player, but then their crest logo was heavy in '85.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my grandmother had given me a low sweater, and at the time I didn't, I never realized my grandma was always on it, but I was just like, oh, okay, this is nice. And I didn't fuck with it for a minute. I didn't fuck with it till, late spring. And then I seen kids run around with low. So I'm like, yo, I got this sweater from my grandmother. So I was wearing a damn big sweater in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it was low. And I was just like, yo, this shit is fire. I didn't, when my grandma gave it to me, I didn't realize it was fire. But when I seen some kids running around with low, I'm like, oh yeah, I got that. But
at what point did like the low life rush happen when people was running up in the Macy's and taking everything and all that? Like was that like early '90s or like late 80s?
No, before that, late '80s. They the low life kids were like a loose confederation of boosters. They didn't really become low life until '88, but in the mid '80s, they're just a loose confederation of boosters. Everyone's boosting, so you run up in wherever you could go, and Macy's at 34th Street and B. Altman and a lot of these spots, they were filled with Polo Ralph Lauren.
It was hand clean. Yeah.
It's bright. It's color blocked. Crazy. It just it looks it looks vibrant. It looks active. So it's very, when you go by color theory, it's super attractive to see a big racer red and a big bright yellow, nautical yellow and royal blue. That color theory, man, that should have you. These are the colors that Superman has on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you see that shit, you can just, the color theory has you triggered already. You want to put that on.
See, so one thing I think me and Doka hang our hat on for my generation, right, is like y'all ushered in low, right? It made it a thing, made it cool, or it was a thing. Polo sport came out when we was little, so like that's what we ran towards. You know what I mean? Like low sport was our thing. Yeah, I know there was a debate on it. You know what I'm saying? People, thought it was kind of like some off-brand cheap shit, but I thought Polo Sport was the best thing ever.
Polo Sport. I love Polo Sport. I bet, but at that
that's
time,
like what, 93,
I don't want to be all. Nautica competition was doing good things at those times too, though.
Can I tell you something?
Glorious times.
Nautica was hitting. Tommy was hitting for a long time. I was very much like, yo, I could fuck with Nautica. I could fuck with Tommy. I could fuck with Low, and Nautica never grew out. Yeah, it never really grew to anything else. And Tommy also kind of hit a ceiling too. Yeah. Where Low continued to evolve and it allowed you to evolve. You could be, if you wanted to look like a teenager, hoodied up, bright colors, you could do that. If you wanted to be more subdued, more low key, rock a plaid, rock a black watch. That's what I was gonna say. Rock a tartan. Yes, exactly. So you could do some real smooth maneuvers with Low that even Tommy wasn't allowing you to do. Tommy had a good run of Oxford shirts and khakis, but even Tommy, boom, kind of just hit a ceiling, plateaued or whatever. And I love Polo Sport. I was a big fan of Polo Sport, and I love when Polo Sport migrated into RLX.
Loved it. Yeah, love all of it.
And
I can't really say there's a branch that I haven't that I haven't really
Well,
thought.
but nobody likes
even
Chap.
love.
I mean, let's be real.
No,
Right.
I mean, back in the day, I didn't care for it, but I didn't hate it either. You know, if you had a cheap option, I'd rather see you in Chaps than that U.S. Polo was bullshit.
Oh, listen.
When I was in school and somebody said, "Yo, why you could have had a polo shirt on?" I'm like, "What are you talking about, dog?"
That ended it. Can I tell you? Like I tell you, when homegirl told me to shape up to look better,
right?
When someone killed,
polo shirt was crazy.
That ended it. That ended Chaps for me. And Chaps has had some decent pieces.
Dope shit. They had some dope button ups. Cause I remember I had
not
a nice
fucking with it. Not fucking with it.
No,
once it got ended,
the jacket over it. I used to hide that Ted C.
That's the PTSD I got from watching somebody get roasted. Like, real talk. You get PTSD from watching someone get killed so badly. You're like, yo, I don't never want it to be me.
So hold on, Chad.
Because it wasn't even polo. It was its own thing.
Right. No, so if you got to choose between a Chap shirt or Vasco jeans.
Vasco jeans. But nobody gonna know what. But maybe,
why would I have to choose?
Vasco jeans was like some. Well, the version, the bootleg shit they had in VIM, man. It would be like Guess jeans. It would be like Guess jeans, but they had an exclamation point.
They was totally bootleg Guess. Vasco was totally, and I'm even amazed, as young as you are, that you remember Vasco, because
I remember cooking someone in a pair of Vascos, man.
Yeah. Vims, you got Vascos from Vims. Vims had big commercials. Vasco jeans. Vasco. Like, if you listen to KT, you hear the commercial for Vasco jeans at Vims. At VIM.
Is it Vims or VIM?
It's VIM, but I mean,
yeah,
it's Vims. You know,
the only reason I know it's VIM because of the song. That's it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They called it VIM. We called it Vims.
Why is that one store that wherever it was at, that I felt like you have to walk in knowing that there's nothing there for you, but you walk in anyway? Like, why? So hold on. When did y'all stop walking into VIM? I feel like there was a point in your life where you realized, yo, I'm just not going there anymore.
No. See, you understand. You don't understand. Because I had caught so many things from places like Vims and Dr. J's, and I will always walk that. If that store is there, I'll walk the floor on some nostalgic shit just to be like, yo, what might they could have? I've caught legit fire.
Yeah.
I've caught fire. So I mean, I'm never gonna not walk the floor.
Now you got it. Well, you can see everything. They got the see-through plastic everywhere. VIM is like the first shop in Pennington, bro. Like, you see everything in that motherfucker. Everything is clear case.
Everything. You never know what you might find too. Like, I don't know how they got this shit, but they got it. But yeah,
I used to get cheap Timbs out of there. Now I think about it, Timbs back in the day.
The polo one for me was like, I tried to go to the other places like Loman's. What was the other one?
Sims, bro.
Sims.
Hold on a second.
Sims had everything.
Let me tell y'all a story. Sims, this is the one right north of Yonkers. What's that joint right off
Greenberg?
Greenberg, Sims, yeah.
Right. On your way to the Tappan Zee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, that was my little in the cut Sims.
Yeah, you go in there with $300 and be good for a season.
Yo, that was my little in the cut. Like, Sims was official. Yeah. I still have some pieces from Sims still with the tags on it.
Mm-hmm. All right. I got a purple label polo out of there. When I was probably like 16. I was open. I was like, bruh.
Yep.
You see this?
Yep.
Why Sims has so much gems is because it was a suit store. So they had like other things to just complement other, menswear, but it was a higher end menswear store. So like nobody went in there to buy no polo. You know what I mean? And you've been in there to buy blazers and all that.
And you get
like
everything in there.
I like their buyers, man. I could tell you so many great sim stories. Like I was never a booster. All right, I supported the boosters, but I was not. I just was too big. I guess too goofy. I again, like I told you, I tried to dance. I wasn't that good. I tried to do graffiti. I wasn't that good. I was never good at any of these things, man. But so I didn't boost, man. But I would be at Sims and I would get shit for boost of prices, man. Because I'd take some shit. I went and got this shirling out of Sims for so cheap because I moved the shit all around the store. I moved it like into the ladies' floor. I moved it to the shoe department. I spent weeks, maybe months, moving this shirling around the store till it finally got marked down to where I could cop it, and then boom.
I saw multiple pieces out there. I saw like rain jackets, polo raincoats, man. I used to always be in there.
Yeah,
they had good boot section too. They always had good boots in there.
We only boosted from Burlington Coat Factory. That was our spot to get anything out of it.
Yo, you know it's mad funny too. Like
Burlington had polo back in the day.
No, Burlington had straight up independent designer shit. They used to have Mecca, all those like all Wayans Brothers shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to dress like the Wayans Brothers? They had B&B. They had Burlington all that, like, street shit.
When Burlington first broke out, Burlington was official.
Yeah, they were official.
We used to go on trips to Reading, and there was a big Burlington factory store on that trip, and that Burlington had everything. So I'm talking about early 90s. Burlington had everything. And as time went on, their buyers, just couldn't couldn't compete any longer. But early Burlington, you could have caught a lot of good polo sport. A lot of USA stuff, man. Listen, Burlington had it.
They had it.
If they had it, we were taking it.
Yeah, we was going in there. We used to go in there, man. Yeah, we used to go in there like, yo, I want that Mecca shit right there. Mecca.
Where was y'all Burlington? Was it in the Cross County strip?
Central Avenue by
Central Avenue in Yonkers.
Okay. The Red Lobster.
Yeah.
The old Red Lobster.
Yeah, yo, I used to travel, man. I used to travel to catch mine, man, because y'all had spots up there. Y'all had spots,
But
me and Joe both moved to Yonkers. Sims is a classic. Me and Joe both moved to Yonkers as teenagers. So we had the city situation going on. Joe was in the Bronx / Manhattan, Harlem. I was like, in the Soundview. You know what I mean? So like, we came up there like, yo, what is this? You know what I mean? And then when we saw like, you could move around and go get all this shit from anywhere you wanted. It was
yep.
At the time,
we take shit and have to wait for the bus.
Yo, at the time, it was crazy. We were wilding. I don't know how we did that shit. Bro, at the time back in the day, Pack of Shoes was out here because they originally.
Oh, before they went to Pack.
Yeah, so.
Oh, really? Pack was always in Jersey. Okay.
Nah, they had a spot on Ashburn, and they used to have the stock room open. They always kept pennies, like the pennies in there. Bo Jackson's, like, yo, Packers was official, because when they went away, man, my heart was broke. And they were dead smack in the hood, like in the hood at the time. Like at the time, that shit was nasty.
That's why Mike Packer knows what he knows, though, too, man. You know what I mean? Because he had good people giving him advice. He had the hood basically.
Now he was in tune.
He kept stock though. He always that if you walked in there, you get you a pair of Bo Jacksons or some pennies. Even the phone posits, he always held some fire in there.
I love that. I love that. That's like my old Korean spots, man. The only thing about my old Korean spots is like they'll keep some fire. They'll keep some fire from a couple releases back, but it still be priced at the same shit. I'm like, yo,
they with the dollar.
Now with the rent, the way rent is, it's over. Like for those old mom and pop, like you can't sustain that shit.
It's over for them, bro, because of the way Nike does business too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Nike makes them buy all kinds of garbage.
That tier shit. Once they started with that tier shit, right? That shit was trash.
Nike makes people buy all type garbage so that you be jammed up with a whole bunch of shit nobody wants just to get a few sizes of a retro J.
Yeah.
Just to get a few sizes of
I
a
never
retro Air Max.
understood why they make so much bullshit though. I don't understand like why make so like there's some shit that nobody's buying. Like those blends of like Dunks and Air Force One that are like all over Nordstrom Rack and all, you know what I'm saying? That immediately go to Nordstrom Rack. Like why is make those? Who's buying? Nobody's fucking with those.
I would imagine that. I would imagine that, like, yo, if we did a shoe check with all these people that are marching, you see a lot of them shits that a lot of them sus shoes, man. Yo, that end up in Marshall's or whatever. I bet you.
I bet
you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is an influx of beat up low top white Air Force Ones. I don't know what's up with this shit, but that is now like the fucking. I don't know. That's the new shoe of like the you know the generation. Like, they wear their white uptown, so they done, man. They should just cook. Super cook.
Not only that, but yo, like the worst part is like yo, when somebody wears shoes so tight that the lace sides touch each other.
Yeah, that's wild. There's no need for that. And if
you don't even see the tongue. You can't even see the tongue.
Dirty Air Force Ones we talking about. And yeah, what's up with this? What's up with the stigmatism that's been placed on the black low top Air Force One now? Now it's become
the out of town thing. That's the out of town shit.
I mean, listen. Just from empirical evidence, from anyone that's wearing black on black low AF1 is up to no good, and we've seen it. We've seen it in videos. We've seen it in still images. Listen, it's not even a stigma. It's literally happening. All right, think about it. Think about the type of people who will wear a black on black Air Force One.
It's a nasty thought, I guess.
Think about those people. Who are these? These are people we can't trust. These are bad people.
Yeah, DP, hold on, because we go. This could go on forever. I want these people to really know who you are, right? So like as we usher into the 90s, right? Like how did you get into with like hip hop culture and then make your way in that world? Like, you know, I just want people to know exactly who you are. We paying homage, I want them to know.
Especially as far as like putting yourself out there, because you're definitely one of the first to like put yourself out there as yourself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, yo, like you used to hit the sneaker lines, you know, just you being you and just putting yourself out there.
Before the internet, before we were online. So I'm gonna go to the early 90s, and I am in college. I'm a student at City College, and I'm studying architecture. And what I found was that, man, I liked writing and speaking more than I liked architecture. Although I worked during the day for architects, and shout to them, God bless them, because they pay for my school. I didn't have to take any loans out. They literally paid for my schooling. And but I found out that I like to write more. So I just started writing like commentaries on the city. And we had this event that happened in the city where, at City College, as a matter of fact, where it was a charity basketball game, and a bunch of people ended up dying because the crowd was so hyped, and the organization of the crowd was so poor that people ended up crushing each other trying to get inside the space, inside this gym. And I found myself writing about the city, and there were just things that were occurring around me that I had to speak on, because the way I was seeing them, I felt like wasn't being described in the media. And I can think of the death of Yusuf Hawkins, and then the Central Park jogger case. And when you compared the way the news had gone into Harlem and basically dredged up every person who had ever known these kids or said they had ever known them. As compared to
the Yusuf Hawkins and Central Park 5, was that in the same year?
They were close to each other. I'm gonna say Yusuf Hawkins. I'd have to. My memory is crazy now. I want to say Yusuf Hawkins happened before the Central Park jogger case. But there's
the reason I'm asking you is because a lot of people might not have know about that, but similar to today, Yusuf Hawkins was a young brother that was killed in New York City by the police, right?
No. He was actually Yusuf Hawkins was actually killed by a gang of whites in a Brooklyn neighborhood, and he was killed because one of the white guys said, "Man, this guy is trying to date my sister." So a gang of whites ran up on him and basically beat him to death.
Gotcha. Crazy. And there was hell in the streets after that, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, we protested, we marched, because the kids were shielded. You know, the kids. It took several days for the kids to be arrested, and because the kids were shielded, you know, it was another one of those things where it was like, you know, it was like Trayvon being killed by Zimmerman. You know, where the cops had Zimmerman, they said, "Oh, no, we don't need to charge this guy." You know, and people were like, "Man, fuck that! He just murdered somebody." Yeah, you need to charge him, and you need to check his blood alcohol, and you need to do all these things. So it was you know, a group of whites performing this extrajudicial murder on a black kid, just like the police do, and they were looking like they were going to get off. So that had everybody on fire.
Yeah, man. I remember hearing about that. I remember listening to the Dot X song when he talked about that, because I was a big Brand Nubian fan growing up. And a lot of artists would mention that. You know, mind you, I was young at the time, but, you know, later on in life, you know, you put two and two together. You know what I'm saying? So I just remember hearing that story a lot back in the day growing up.
So you were writing about those two cases?
I was writing about those. I was writing my feelings about those cases because of what I was seeing in mass media, and particularly the New York Times. Like I'm a big New York Times reader. I always was. And I mean, I read Daily News and Newsday and the Post and stuff like that. But I would trust the New York Times.
Yeah.
I would trust it because I would think like yo, this is something that doesn't have the biases that these other joints have, which they're obviously, you know, white supremacist papers. I didn't realize the Times was all part of that thing too. You know, but they profiled the Central Park Five so crazy, and I'm like, yo, I didn't hear nothing about these kids from Yusuf Hawkins. Like, I don't know who their brothers and sisters are and their mothers and what they ate for breakfast that day. And I mean, they were so nuanced and detailed about these kids from Central Park. And I'm like, why? You know, I want to hear about these other kids. I want to know what made them think that they could do what they did. And so I just felt like I needed to study things and write about them and kind of document them, because there was obviously inequality out there. There was obviously
being misrepresented. There was
obviously an unequal treatment that was being given. So I'm just getting a lot of writing done, and that's my writing career started behind those. I would say behind those events, but that was just that my passion got pointed into that. So I'm doing all throughout the 90s, bro. I'm doing tons of writing, and I'm also doing videotape work. A buddy of mine had a video camera, and he let me borrow his camera. He and I would go to Knick games. He had a corporate box, so we'd sit we had decent seats. Man, I'd be videotaping Knick games, the heyday of our Knicks. All right, before we got to the finals, so 93, 94. Well, we got there. 94 we got there, right? Yeah,
94 we got there. He was like there like 91, 92, 93, like that.
Yeah, 92, 93. Because the year we got there, those tickets was the hardest to get. And my man's firm, they was like, nah, the big boys was taking those tickets. The big guys.
Man, can we find some of that footage out there? You got some of that footage out there?
I have them on high A tapes, and I keep telling my buddy Mike that I'm gonna have some of these transferred because some of them are pretty ill. Some of them are pretty dope.
Yeah,
some of them are pretty wild.
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah, just for y'all to bug out. Like, yeah, everything that y'all have experienced from me, from YouTube, was already what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So talking to people, bothering people. You remember homegirl from Teen Summit, Lisa?
Amanda Lewis?
Not Amanda Lewis. Lisa,
the
the sister that was married to Charles Smith, the basketball player. So the sister that was married to Charles Smith. Man, listen, I bothered her at a Knick game one time. I bothered Chris Rock one time. I mean, like Shannon Briggs, Johnny Cochran.
No, that's my guy.
Yo,
By the Johnny Cochran, man.
Yeah,
you by Johnny Cochran, man.
No, I was just like Johnny, man, Johnny, my man.
Yeah, like I know that. That's the G right there.
Yeah. So I mean, I was just like a man about town making video, and not knowing where it could go, and really just doing it for my own, edification, because I just take it home and watch it on my TV. There was no place to upload it, no YouTube or nothing like that to give it to other people. So I got a gang of high A tapes, man. I gotta open them up and look at them again. So I'm just doing all of these things, and working at the same time, doing my construction management day job. Fast forward through the night. Well, I don't even want to fast forward through the 90s, gentlemen, because the 90s, so much happens in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens in the 90s. You had this festival in Miami called How Can I Be Down?
Yeah.
And I went in and got to partake in that and a couple of times. And then you also had in the 90s, you had this festival that happened Memorial Day weekend called the All-Star Fiesta, which was kind of like put together by Diddy. And it happened in Cancun, Mexico. And that was ridiculous. I mean, I just spent my whole life just running around being a fucktard. and by 2000, the mid-2000s, it was time to create a space to hold these thoughts, to put them somewhere, because I've been writing and I've been trying to get published by various mags, and my writing style wasn't chosen. I could say I was probably a little bit abrasive. I was a little bit critical, but I just enjoyed myself. I just was having fun.
Indeed.
Hold on for a sec. There we go. Bam. So the fast forward to 2005, Hurricane Katrina. And what my wife did was my wife created a weblog for me, DallasPenn.com.
Yeah.
And she made it back in May. And I just been populating with stories. And I didn't make it live until Hurricane Katrina. And it just felt like the time that I needed to get my ideas out, because what was happening in New Orleans, I felt like was genocidal.
Yeah. Listen.
I felt like it was it was one of those huge turning points for the country, where we had all these instances, we had these individual instances of systemic racism happening to individuals, but now it was an entire city which was getting run down, or even a region really that was getting run down through racism. And I was just like, yo, this shit is fucking crazy. And once I opened up the weblog, things changed. Then my writing became I can't say I became a household name, but people started to read my writing.
Got you.
Once people started to read my writing, they wanted me to do other things. They looked to my YouTube page, which would have commentary. I made some fanboy video that would have commentary on it. So, I mean, once I kind of got out there, the feedback that I got from people was to do more, to go harder, to add more spice, to keep going.
Yep.
And that's what I did. That's what I did.
And did that eventually lead to the podcasting or the Combat Jack show?
Absolutely. I mean, the weblog era, the height of the weblog era, I'm going to say was from 2005 to 2012. And shouts to Yonkers, shouts to Nah Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
Nah Right is part of the holy trinity of weblogs.
Mm-hmm.
But during this weblog era, you know, I'm writing and I'm making crazy YouTube videos with internet celebrities, making YouTube videos on my own, doing sneaker lineups, doing sneaker reviews, doing boot reviews, doing all kinds of, doing everything, bro, doing everything. And going against the people that were critical of me, who would say, man, listen, you know, how do you know about sneakers? How do you know about Low? How do you know about Brooklyn Street Gangs? How do you know about, but this was my fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just giving people my life. I was just giving people everything that I experienced. Mm-hmm. And the next step was for us to do a podcast. As a matter of fact, a dude named A. King had grabbed me up and was like, yo, I got a radio station, man. I'd like to do some internet radio with you. And I was like, all right, bet. You know, I'm going to bring my buddy. We'll talk about it with you. So I bring Combat Jack with me, and we talk about it with him. And the dude was like, yeah, but I don't have no budget. So I was like, all right, I'm good. Reg, Combat Jack, talks with the station owner. And it's like, hey, listen, you know what? We could probably do something here, you know. Let us see what we could do. We'll do a radio show. And the first radio show we did was called Nah Right Radio. Wow. And it was basically going to be interviewing artists and just playing new music. Only lasted one episode. Didn't really last. So the next idea was, yo, let's just do a show where it's me and you, and we'll bring various people we know, whether it's a music artist, whether it's a graffiti, whoever. Let's bring notable people that we fuck with and kick it with them. And he was like, yo, what do you want to call this joint? And I'm like, yo, we're going to call it the Combat Jack Show. And he's like, you know, and I'm like, nah, we'll call it the Combat Jack Show. And Reg was like, all right, bet. And to his credit, Reg was really built for that space. And we framed it originally after the Howard Stern show, which we both enjoyed, you know, which could be informative and funny and irreverent. So the Howard Stern show could be everything in one episode. You know what I mean? You'll learn something, you'll laugh, it'll be dope like that. And we started putting pieces in that kind of got us to that point. You know, we added a DJ, added an anchor man, had my guy Premium Pete hanging with us. So we had this kind of funky bird cast to that people could listen to and say, oh, Steph, I relate to this guy. I relate to that guy. You know what I mean? We had a couple of white guys, a few black guys. It was perfect because you heard the voices. You didn't actually know them, but you heard the voices and you found some place in there that you could relate to, some mindset, some viewpoint that you could connect to. And it was the perfect storm for that time. There had been podcasts before then. All right, there were podcasts before them, but I think the one advantage that we had,
but they didn't matter, DP.
The one advantage that we had was between Reggie and I, the industry connections that we had, we used them better than other people who even had industry contacts. So we used those things better.
Yeah.
You know, and that meant grabbing somebody up to talk to that wasn't on a press run. Like if someone was trying to debut a new album, nah, we don't want to talk to you. Not that we don't want to talk to you, but no, we.
Yeah, there's definitely a time, before the Combat Jack show. And
that's your team.
Like, y'all the blueprint for what we doing now, and it's crazy because I always think about how some people started or where I met like Pete, Premium Pete. I used to be up in Premium Lace every weekend growing up, buying all the SBs, and he used to always show me and my boy love, back then. So I good to see people flourish into other careers and reach other spaces. You know what I'm saying? So
remember how cheap them SBs was back then, man?
Love it. Nobody was fucking with them. I got the Ferris Bueller's from him. I probably got a pair. Every weekend I go down there and chill with him. Mm-hmm. I go in there. This is the smell like hella weed. He be in there making jokes and shit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The good old times, man. Back in the day.
Yep.
So borrow a piece from y'all, like that's what we're trying to do here. Make the conversation and the whole process of an episode be organic, because that's what we want it to be. We want it to be natural. So people want press runs and all that shit. That's an agenda based thing. You don't want to deal with that.
Right. What y'all want? What y'all really want is people who y'all fuck with.
Exactly.
Because I'll be honest with you, there's nothing better than the unpredictability, the realness, the rawness of a conversation that happens amongst people who fuck with each other.
Human being.
You know what I mean? Where anything can be said, where anything can be spoken, and there's no judgments that are going to happen here, so ideas can flow freely. And that was really our job. That was really kind of my job too. So we bring somebody in, and I would try to see if it was from Reggie's side, I try to see how I could soften them up, how I could find an intersection point with them that then I could have them open up. Like I talked to him, man, what's your favorite breakfast cereal? Growing up. And, just something light to loosen someone up and to have someone kind of close their mind's eye and start and go back and start opening those things up, because you find out when someone feels good and comfortable, man, the conversation that you're going to get from them is just going to be incredible. It's going to be the best.
Definitely. While we there, what's your favorite breakfast cereal, bro?
Man, listen. I mean, now that I'm a diabetic, I can't fuck with it though. But Frankenberry, bro. Frankenberry.
That's a classic.
The old Frankenberry though, the old formula, not the new. Because I can't front. I did have it recently. I did have it within the last several years. The new formula is garbage, man.
I never fucked with Frankenberry because that was one of the few dishes in the hood that they bring out for me. They try to say I look like the motherfucker. I never in life made the motherfucking Frankenberry.
Damn.
And we used to Justin like Ernest Scared Stupid when we were younger, so it's all good.
You said that. Nobody.
That's fucked up, man. The hood really, man. The hood did you a disservice, bro. Because Frankenberry, man, is my.
No, but you know what, DP? Talking about organic, right? I don't know if you remember how we met. We met at it was in Long Island City at a bar. And I came up to you and I was like, "Yo, bro, peace, man. I know who you are."
Yep. You was low out. Yeah.
You was, and that's the first thing you said. He was like, "Oh, okay. I never seen this." Yo, he was looking at the polo shirt on. He was like, "Okay." Like he was disregarding everything I was saying. He was trying to figure.
That's how the shirt was ringing off. The shirt was giving me that shit in your ear, that tinnitus. That shirt was just like.
Yeah. And I said, all right, this is an organic scenario right here. Like, you know what I mean? This is how it needs to be. We need to keep communicating. Crazy
thing, man, right here. And you will find this in life. So the sun is throwing cosmic waves at this planet. And the shits come in a sine, cosine frequency. Comes as a vibration and a frequency. And depending on how your shit is tuned, your inner radio is tuned in, that's how you vibrate. And the people that vibrate under the same frequency find each other. You find people that you vibrate with. You won't even know how. You won't even remember how sometimes. You'll be like, yo, damn, I feel like I knew you all my life. Or I feel like I knew you for forever. But it's just because y'all are tuned in to the cosmic frequency. Because right now there's 1,000 people at a Trump rally right now. You know what I mean? That's the frequency that they're tuned in at. You know? So I'm always of the feeling that the people that I vibrate with, I will find them. All right? They will find me. We'll all find each other. Because that's how we moving under the sun. That's how we moving and shaking.
That's dope, yeah.
That's for sure. That's a definite fact right there, DT.
Yeah, you know. But podcasting, man, I'm looking for a pivot. Now right now I'm working on a project now called the Internetooos Podcast. And we grabbed a bunch of folks from the Combat Jack show. Ben Ami, Matt Rash, Premium Pete, King, Just Blaze pops in. And, you know, we're bringing people on and Zoom calling them and having fun with them. I feel like the next level for podcasting is going to be storytelling. So grabbing someone up and saying, hey, listen, tell me the story of the blackout of 1977. Mm-hmm. Tell me the story of the march through Bensonhurst after Yusuf Hawkins was killed. Tell me the story of the murder of the kid from Utah, Brian Watkins. Tell me the story of the Crown Heights riots. And talking with people who have intimate stories of these kind of large moments. And you know what? You don't even have to necessarily be at that spot. Because if you can remember the time, contextualize that time for what was going on in your life. Like real talk, what was going on in your life? What was going on in your life when Big was killed?
Biggie? The day I'll tell you exactly. The day I found out he died.
It's a Sunday morning. You found out.
It was Sunday morning. Me and my boy Rashid, God bless his dad, we were on our way to Sunday school. Our mom forced us to go to that shit. I think we had to do like first communion or so. You know what I mean? One of those things that your mom make you do. We were going over there, and we I used to go with them. Found out. That's what we found out. Oh, and it wasn't just us. Like a lot of kids from the neighborhood, parents was making them do the same shit. So that's what we all talked about that Sunday morning on March 9th. I remember that vividly.
Yeah, my man.
But I ate and all of that. I ate a beef patty with cheese and cocoa bread in the morning. So I could, you know what I mean?
We lived in the same block, and the way our buildings were, my man lived across from me. I lived in a 6th floor. He lived in a window across from me. He was yelling at me through the window, like, yo, Josh. I'm like, as long as he wants. And he was like, yo, you heard Biggie just died? And I'm a Biggie stan. Like, Christopher Wallace is the peak. You know what I mean? Still. And I said, no, don't even joke like that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not even funny. He goes, I'm serious, man. He died. And I remember feeling like at that time, unfortunately, as years passed, we started to lose a lot of friends, right? And that was the first time I felt like I lost somebody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. My father died when I was like 11, 12, and it was different. That was such a surreal moment. Biggie thing felt like actually real because everybody was experiencing it together. You know, my father passing away was different. You know, it was just me and my sisters, my mom, and we just had to deal with it. But like everybody was talking about Biggie dying. You know what I mean? When Pac died, it was different. You know, it was just a different connection. You know, I love
and the way Pac died too. I mean, because Pac had been shot previously, Pac's death was surreal. It was surreal in the sense that did he really die?
Yeah, it was 6 days later. It was weird.
Right.
It was different.
Right.
Biggie death, it was just like it went from like what are you talking about to he dead? And I'm still playing. You know, at that time I was listening to probably like one or two of the the joints off of Hypnotized that we had on like Clue tape. I mean, off of Life After Death that we had on Clue tapes and everything, and a few of the leaked songs. And I was just eager.
And the bootleg, remember the bootleg was circulating. It was a
there was like a 12-song bootleg. Like they had like 10 songs or 12, 11 songs that were actually on the album, and like one song that wasn't. And I felt like it was Benjamin. Like it was that verse from the Benjamin's remix. It was a verse from the Benjamin's remix, yeah. And I felt lost for a minute, you know, to be honest with you, because the thing I love, the person that is at the top of that, you know, made me feel, you know, like, damn, I don't know what to do now. You know what I mean? That was just more than that. You know?
Yeah. And that summer, Reasonable Doubt. No, Reasonable Doubt was before that. It was the summer before that.
96 was the summer of Reasonable Doubt. It was written.
Reasonable Doubt was probably like summer 95.
I got my head. I might have heard Reasonable Doubt the year before then. I remember that after Biggie passed, I had been at the All-Star Fiesta at Cancun, and just how there was a sense of loss amidst all the depravity, amidst all the fuckery that was going on. It was just like, because a friend of mine actually, she worked for Bad Boy, so she was actually down there, you know, doing Bad Boy business and stuff, and hosting some events. So there was that, like, yeah, I still gotta keep going. I still gotta power through this time, even though, like, you know, damn, our dude is gone. And I think those are the valuable stories that that's what's valuable about the podcast. The podcast can give you a personal experience.
I'll give you my personal experience with Biggie's situation. So to my friend that you know, our friend that was telling me this, he's like Sheik Luch's like little brother at that time, right? Mm-hmm. And Sheik Luch and Kiss live on our block. Sheik lived in our building because it's all like one big building. Sheik lived in our building. Kiss lived in our neighborhood. So Biggie is at the top of the record label that our hometown, block town heroes are signed to. So I'm like, oh, well, what happened? He's like, yeah, Luch just told everybody because they was in Cali with them. So when they came back to the hood, you know, it was like Samba. It was like somebody on our block passed away, and they made the We'll Always Love Me Papa song, and we felt a part of it. You know what I mean? Like there's a big connection in our neighborhood with Biggie, Junior Mafia, and the Locks and all of that. So it's always been like that, like sort of like a hometown love and pride there. So I ain't gonna front, like March 9th in our neighborhood, on our side of town, in our neighborhood, definitely always been a night to, like, you know, get a little activated on the block for Big. It's always been a tradition over there in Yonkers. Which is kind of crazy because Yonkers got his own little thing, but especially in our like every year, still to this day, because of Chris and Luch and being right there. You know, Styles is from the other side of town, so we didn't know him that well growing up, but everybody else, it was like You know, I mean, we was in the mix of all of this. When we was 14, 15, 16, we saw Foxy, Mace used to hang out in front of my building. You know, like all of this kind of stuff. So like all that Bad Boy connection, all that like Brooklyn connection was in our face. Yeah. And then to hear like Biggie died, I'm like, damn, this is my favorite. He wasn't even just my favorite rapper. He was just like my favorite artist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like this was about to be the greatest thing ever. And then I heard his album and it even made me more sad. You know what I mean? I felt like, damn, he perfected his craft at 24. You know, you gave one subject, and this is how much I could fill it in. You know,
this is my point though. You look at just one moment. You look at a watershed moment, and you contextualize it over time. Yeah. How important it was, really. How this moment just kind of transcends that day, that space that it occurred, and I think that's the space that we're going to. For podcasts, where we're not simply dealing with current events and rehashing like, oh, this is the new album that's out, or this is how I'm feeling today. But boom, here is an event, and here's how this event changed this. Here's how it changed music. Here's how it changed everyday life. Here's how it changed the relationship of East Coast, West Coast artists. You know, and that's where I feel like our podcast space needs to go to real personal stories like that kind of help people contextualize and get an understanding of the world we are, the world we're in, and the space we're living in.
And it's almost like a mini play, and it brings everything full circle too, right? You know, like because now there's a camera everywhere now, so things that happen in history are recorded, but there's a lot of things that took place that shaped the present day that went unnoticed and unspoken, you know, about, unless you really know. So yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? And it's the only way that you're gonna keep these stories alive is by sharing them. Yeah, and sharing these experiences too, because like you said, there's a lot of misinformation about everything that went on out there. You know, so that's for sure. That's definitely a fact. You gotta tell those stories.
Yeah, no, it's important too, DP. Like, because we live in a time now where like a tweet could be the fact, right? And you don't know what people's agendas are behind these tweets or posts in general, or Instagram posts, whatever. You know, I'm so active on Twitter right now because of everything that's going on today, right? So I want to see. And there's people who tweet out random shit that's hyperbolic, so they can get you to look at the mention and see the second tweet that they're linked for something. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's positive. Sometimes it's like, yo, look at this Black Lives Matter information. But I have people come here and see this to do this, and then other times it's a bunch of nonsense. You know, so like if it's an important part of history and you spin it for whatever kind of nonsense reason, people don't even have the time to really digest all the facts, so they just go on whatever.
People don't have time to digest anything right now. Jay, people don't have time to digest anything, fam, and that's simply because there is this glut of information, and it's coming at you and hitting you from all sides, every direction, all the time. So it's like, how do you filter through that? You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. There are times, man, I like to turn the F off. I try to. I mean, it doesn't seem like that. If you follow me hard right now, social media,
you can't really turn off though, because people send everything. Now it's like, even if you turn everything off on your end, you're gonna have somebody sending you something like, yo, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? Like today, they sent me the stuff of like all the Democrats kneeling, you know, which is cool, I guess. But I was like, yo, I called it black fit. The aesthetic version of blackface. I call it black.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I thought it was a meme. I didn't think it was like a digitized meme.
Me too. I didn't know what it was. In the era of performance art. Everyone is doing performance art right now. It's performative art. It's, you know what I mean? It's, listen, I had to let people know, listen, Kamala Harris, she's still a cop, y'all. She's still a police. Don't get it twisted. Don't let the Kente cloth fool you. Don't let any of these things fool you. I was
going back. To be honest with you, I was taken back. I saw him. Was it Chuck Schumer? He went to Howard. He went like HBCU. I could have sworn he even had a little dirty tan over there. It was looking crazy.
Well, it's weird when you see people that's supposed to have some form of respect for themselves and their position look like they clout chasing to a degree, right? It looks like they do anything for that.
But they always were. But see, I'm glad you said that. Right. Yeah. They always were. And we are now getting to peel back the onion on all of this. We didn't realize that all the time folks were clout chasing. A school gets shot up, and these people start clout chasing. Oh, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do. Blah, 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 blah. Yo, steady clout chasing.
Yeah.
Right? Yo, I love it. I love the fact that we peel back the onion on all of this.
And it's like now, it's like everyone's having FOMO of saying Black Lives Matter, like, or kneeling. It's like, yo, it's ridiculous at the rate that it's happening now. Like, I don't know if is it good or bad. I don't even know what to believe at this point. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of wild.
If you don't know what it is, then it's probably bad. I'll tell you why. Because when something is good, it just be feeling good. It sits right. It sits. Like when you see that image, did it sit right with you? It didn't sit right with me. Because kneeling, I mean, like Jay-Z said, we off kneeling. Yes, we're off kneeling now. Because y'all niggas had your chance to kneel.
Yeah.
Y'all had your chance to be a part of this and say that you understand and that you respect these lives. But y'all didn't. Y'all tried to find everything else to do. Now it's time to kneel. Nah, man, we off kneeling now. We off that. We on something else. And
no, you're right, because your gut tells you, your gut is like your brain's wired reaction. So it says like, that don't feel right, that don't look right.
Your gut is your brain.
Why weren't y'all wearing kente cloths in February? I'm pretty sure y'all had a meeting. Like if y'all, like they look at Black History Month, so I'm looking at like, isn't that the time to wear that shit?
Performative art, man. Performative art. I'm still
art. You're right. Performative art.
I'm still reeling at the fact that, wait a minute. Michael Bloomberg spent $500 million to become president, when he could have simply just gave me $1 million to vote for him. He could have gave each American $1 million, and he would still have $150 million left. So what is it really? What is it?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Right. So this, it's all show. It's all show to keep supremacy, keep the wheels on supremacy, keep the wheels on capitalism. And at a certain point, this thing is unsustainable. And we've seen it. We've seen it. We got to experience the fact that it's unsustainable through this quarantine, this whole COVID nonsense. We've experienced the fact that this thing is broken and it cannot survive like this. But here they are.
Right, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, but here they are. Here everybody is ready to get back after it. Like, are the doors open? Are the doors to the stores open? Are the doors to the stores open? Let me know.
Yeah. They saying that what was it? I heard somewhere they said COVID-19 blew a lead to racism or something like that.
Yeah.
They compared it to the Falcons Patriots.
COVID blew a 28-3 lead. Yeah. But that's how ill racism is. That just lets you know, racism undefeated. Even when you think racism is down, even when you think racism is like, oh, no way racism gonna catch up to this one. Nah, man, nah. That's what people thought when COVID popped off. People was like, oh, equalizer. Nope. Guess what? Black people, y'all still catching it worse. Yeah. Y'all still catching it worse because everything else that goes on in your community has given you a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
Your skin is your pre-existing condition.
A lot of it too, like, so today they posted that picture of kneeling wearing that, right? All of that does is just, it disrupts the message. You lose it. Whatever we were trying to work towards, now the conversation is about this, right? They master spinners, like they know exactly what they're doing here, and
absolutely fall for it. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all people wanted was a little pat on the back anyway. That was the thing. All people wanted was a little knee off the neck. All right? Mm-hmm. That was it. I mean, I'm cuffed already. Okay, bomb. But now you're gonna put the knee, you're gonna keep the knee on my neck. That's all people want. And the worst part was that when given the choice, motherfucker said, no, we're gonna keep the knee on the neck. Like I can't figure it out. When you have everything, when you have privilege and you have the legal system, when you have everything, why not give something up? But I guess by giving something up means you don't have everything.
And the wild stuff is that I'm not sure of two. I know but one of them was like his fourth day on the job, so you could tell that he was being trained to behave a certain way. You understand what I'm saying? Which is even crazier to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? So
it is a whole system, and it's a whole system that trains those guys, that also informs the prosecutors. That way, that's why no one was charged initially.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it informs the judges. That's why should someone go through a trial and be found guilty, the judge will find the most lenient sentence available.
Mm-hmm.
It's an entire system, all right, and it's not simply just police brutality, but it's an entire system of saying, hey, listen, it's a caste system, and blacks occupy the bottom rung of the caste. Nobody wants any of that. All right, you could come here from another country, you know what I mean, Southeast Asia, South America, and be like, man, listen, I don't want that black shit. All right, even though my skin is dark, I know black. I Dominican.
I Dominican, papi.
And that's not the jab Dominicans, because that's everybody.
It's all right because there's ignorance within everybody. There's ignorance within everybody. Listen, believe that. That's
your dark skinned Colombians, your dark skinned Brazilians, your dark skinned
everything.
Indians, yep.
The Mongoose report. Give us the Mongoose report, DP.
Yeah, I know black.
Yeah, but DP, man, yo, I can't believe we talked for this long. It's amazing, bro.
Oh, yeah, we've been yapping, man.
Bro,
we be the last time, though, man. We could do this another time, man.
We could be here, y'all, for hours. I promise y'all. All I got to do is run my jibs, man. Y'all tell me what y'all want to talk about. Y'all want to talk about sneakers, low, podcast, music, whatever. I mean, I'm here for y'all. I'm here to rap with y'all about it. And I appreciate
that. And we appreciate you for everything you've done, man. Not just like doing now, like speaking to us now, but everything you've done on your own, pushing the culture forward. You know what I'm saying? Without anyone asking you to or pushing you in direction independently. On top of that, no one pulling them strings to make you go any other way. You know what I'm saying? You've been raw and always.
I loved it,
bro. And we love you for that, DP.
I loved it. I loved it. As soon as I got to taste it, I loved it, and I wanted to be part of the light, and I wanted to do whatever I could do to be part of the light. Like whenever you get that sun on you, and that warms you up, and you say, man, how do I repeat this feeling? How do I keep this vibration going? And that's really that's the true motivation, really. You know what I mean? To keep the vibration going, to see y'all do it, and flourish even better. To touch other people and watch them become part of the light. Like I'm happy in myself. I got to become part of the light.
We appreciate you, brother. You know that.
Nah, man. Thank you for doing that, bro. Seriously.
Thank you.
And thank you for being on here. And we got a lot of love for you. The people got love for you, bro. And we're gonna do this again. And we're gonna talk about some other projects later. I'm gonna hit you offline and we'll chop it up about everything else.
Definitely, man. I'm gonna be in your comment. I'm gonna be in your comment section looking for verbiage to trick you with. You know what I mean?
Oh man, listen. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are dope. But anytime, like I say, listen, we could literally do this for hours and hours. My wife made me this crazy dinner though, so even though it's late, I'm gonna go attack that.
Don't take that. Sorry for pulling you away from that meal.
Nah, it's all good. But again, thank y'all, brothers, man, and listen, it does not stop. All right, it don't stop.
Never stops, man. R.I.P. Combat Jack, man.
You know. So don't stop.
We won't.
The light never stops, y'all.
Never stops.
That light never stops.
We're gonna keep it going, man. It never stops.
Bro, you don't even realize the sun is not out, but we still getting hit by them cosmic waves.
For sure, man. Yo, can we get an internetoos or internet one time? It's been
Facts. Los internetos. Los internetos.
I love it.
And then I used to be like, God, boot God.
And God, boot God. Exactly.
God.
This how
Hey, one love, bro. Thank you so much.
Enjoy that dinner,
Peace, brothers. Peace, brothers.
Podcast, Dallas Penn, episode 12. We love y'all, man. Peace out.
Peace out.
All right. Oh, man.